Hi, Yuma. Let's go, Yuma.
Hoş geldiniz dear. Welcome in Kazakh. Добро пожаловать, welcome in Russian. We welcome everyone to our 8th Hyojeong Peace Festival. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rias from Almaty, and this is my wife, Ilzana. We are your MCs for today. Now we are starting our Peace Festival, and we would like to invite all of you to join us. If you're on with us, please turn on your cameras to show everyone your beautiful faces. Wow, so many spectators today. Impressive. It seems that today we have participants from different countries and regions. In addition to Central Asia, we have friends from Southeast Asia, Indochina, South Asia, Oceania, and many more. I love peace festivals. And it's not just a festival, it's a Hyojeong festival. And what is Hyojeong? Hyojeong is a new word which represents a whole group of values such as respect, goodwill, piety for elders and each other. And today we want to emphasize the importance of these virtues not only for ourselves, but for all of us. And we also want to thank all the participants for being with us today and welcome everyone to today's Hyojeong Peace Festival. Today's event will be held in Russian with translation into 7 other languages. So for those who need a translation, please go to the desired channel in your Zoom settings. Also, please leave your comments and feedback to us in our chat in any language. Our technical staff will send out the YouTube link from today's event in the chat. Please share it. Share this link with the recording of the event on your social networks to share love and joy with the people around you. Today's event will be the 8th Hyojeong Peace Festival, and our theme today is building peace through the cultural heritage of Central Asia, and also family values. Today in program we will have amazing performances in the national style and very warm-hearted interviews of exemplary couples from Kazakhstan and Mongolia, warming us with their love. We will also listen to an inspiring message from Regional President of Asia Pacific One, Damien Dunkley. And, of course, we want to express our deepest respect to our ideological inspirers, the founders of the Federation of Families for Peace and Unity Throughout the World, Dr. Sangman Moon and his wife, Mrs. Hanhak Jamun. So, without further ado, let us unite our hearts and minds and start our Peace Festival. But in order for it to go well, you need to get a bata. What is bata? This is a prayer, heaven's blessing.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين وكان الله بكل شيء عليما سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار.
Come back. Now it's time for a family pledge number 5. Our family, the owner of Channel Gook, pledges to strive every day to advance the unification of the spirit world and the physical world as subject and object partners by centering on a true love. Amen. Well, then we can start now. Yes, absolutely right. But do you know that actually the nations of the countries of Central Asia have the same ancestors? It turns out that all our nations are relatives. Yes, and almost everyone knows this, especially the creators of the great video clip, which I invite all of us to watch together.
ขอเชิญให้ทุกท่านชมวิดีทัศน์นี้ไปด้วยกัน
Times go by for new life through whole generations. Voice of youth rising high, hopes and destinations. Times go by for new life through whole generations. Unified side by side in the heart of Asia.
Dostluk acakları seni gördüğümüz milletiriz. Koşuna memleketleri ceribiz. Borbor Azya 30 yıl boyu birgemiz olmuş bizim gelbetirizden. Siyemiz mekenimdi bilemir ne kenimdi. Çarık gelecek bütün cazamın tarih teperimdi. Bu aktap cedeterimdi göz karartısızdı gücüm. Biz gecetin murastı ulardığa cedet gücüm.
Times go by for new life through whole generations. Unified side by side in the heart of Asia. We are the nation of free nations. Here's the anthem of your Central Asians. We are the nation of free nations. Here's the anthem of your Central Asians.
Kazaklarına assalamu alaikum. Orta Azya boğularga 30 yıldır kütüp birliktemiz. Kalganlarına alaikum assalam. Ruhu biik, namus üstün bağlar. Kning tigir kren arastanda. Atalardın murad üstündегі көк аспан. Соны сақтайық, соны қорғайық нұртуған.
Wow, it was a great video clip. Yeah, exactly.
พิเศษมากๆเลยนะครับ
Sometimes it's so great to feel that we are all part of the same family, and you even have no idea how true it is. And our next guest would like to share more about this topic. And now, with a special message about the traditions of the nations of Central Asia, revering heaven and bound by special ties to the heavenly parent, Doctor of Historical Sciences, a wonderful professor of diplomacy and history, ex-speaker of the Parliament of Kyrgyzstan, Dr. Zainidin Karpekovich Kurmanov. So, dear friends, are you ready to hear an inspiring lecture? Let us welcome Professor Kurmanov. Good day, dear organizers, participants. I'm speaking to you in the conditions of an aggravation of the international situation in Ukraine, unprecedented after the Second World War. Since ancient times, there have been about 50,000 wars in the world. All were different: imperialists, civil, just and unjust. The most destructive was the Second World War, in which over 60 states of Europe, Asia, and Africa took part, about 80% of the world's population, in which from 50 to 80 million people died. All attempts to stop the war ended in failure. Despite the fact that the end of the World War II was marked by the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, humanity entered the thermonuclear era. Having seen what can be done with the help of nuclear weapons, the best scientific minds, politicians, people thought about how to prevent the Third World War, which could destroy all of population. A whole generation of people has brought up in an anti-war spirit and culture. But they are gradually leaving, and people enter the political arena who do not know what war is. And again, politicians, as now, started talking about the possibility of a nuclear war and victory in it. They started talking about the war as a historical necessity, as an engine of scientific and technological progress. But the heroic aplomb immediately disappears as soon as the first rows of corpses go. God grant that this threat passes and a powerful anti-war movement arises in the world, as in the era of a bipolar world. The current name of Central Asia arose recently despite the fact that the region is one of the oldest centers of civilization and had many names. In ancient times, it was called Turan, in the Middle Ages Dasht and Kipchak, Maveranahar. In modern times, it was called Turkestan, Central Asia, and Kazakhstan, and now Central Asia. In terms of geography, the last name is not entirely accurate. The region is the center of the world's largest Eurasian continent, but not of Asia, where it actually occupies its northwestern part. And it includes such republics as Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan. According to the concept of Greater Central Asia, this also includes Afghanistan and Mongolia, which gravitate towards the region mentally and culturally. Another feature of the region is that despite its antiquity, it has not yet been formed, like, for example, Middle East or Asia Minor, Indochina, or the Far East. A few years ago, the presidents of the 5 Central Asian republics gathered in Astana for a conference where they expressed the idea of the need to create both legal and political registration of their independent region. But this is just the beginning, and there are fundamental prerequisites for this: common history, origin, religion, and culture. For the first time, the region was mentioned by the father of history, Herodotus, who lived in the 6th century BC. He wrote that the Amazons lived here. Central Asia does not have access to the oceans, although there are 2 seas here, the Caspian and the Aral. 2 great rivers, Amu Darya and Sir Darya. One of the deepest lakes in the world is Issyk-Kul. 2 great deserts, Karakum and Kızılkum. Everything else is steppes, mountains, deserts, and semi-deserts. Alfred Mackinder named this region the Heartland. Who owns it? He will own the world, as he said. The region acquired a heroic history in ancient times. Here live the brave and warlike nomadic tribes of the Saxon Massagetes, who are the ancestors of the modern peoples and nations of these regions. At the hands of the Scythians, as the ancient Greeks called them, the great Iranian king of kings Cyrus II, the founder of the largest empire in the world, Achaemenid Empire perished. Here, the troops of the invincible Alexander the Great, who founded the greatest Eurasian empire, were stopped. From here began the great migration of peoples and the Han invasion of Europe, which put an end to the Roman Empire. In the 4th century began the development and settlement of a vast territorial space from the Black and Caspian Seas to the Pacific Ocean, and from the Arctic to the Indian Oceans and the Middle East. Aryan tribes, the ancestors of the modern Kyrgyz, Turks, Mongols, Iranians, Germans, Slavs, Hindus, Japanese, and even Koreans. What has been said does not contradict modern historical concepts about the origin of man. Even more so, it concretizes them and generalizes them. The first Homo sapien appeared in the southern Africa 150-200,000 years ago, and from there spread throughout the globe, including America and Australia. All people have common ancestral roots. There are no ancient and young races. Now, in the United States, there is a united research group of American and Turkish, Kyrgyz, Kazakh, Hungarian Turkologists who study Indian tribes for a common Turkic identity. This was the first great migration of nations. The second great migration began from Altai in the 4th century AD, as a result of which the modern configuration of the world appeared. After Attila's campaign against Rome, the Germanic tribes, Romans and Greeks, for the first time felt themselves like Europeans. Another historical feature of the region is that powerful and huge military states have always arisen here, where nations, languages and cultures have been mixed. These are the Han Empire, the Great Turkic, Kyrgyz, Khazar, Uyghur Khaganates, the Empire of Genghis Khan, the Golden Horde, the Timurid Empire. The successor of these empires is the Russian Empire, the USSR, the Russian Federation. The region was powerful and economically developed thanks to the Great Silk Road from China to the West, which was the main international tradeway. Samarkand and Bukhara had at that time such political, economic, and cultural weight as New York, Paris, and London now have. Humanities and exact sciences, architecture, mathematics, philosophy, history, poetry, medicine flourished here. Brilliant scientists, world classics, writers lived and worked here, such as Ulugh Avicenna, Al-Farabi, Saadi, Biruni, Aini, Omar Khayyam, Abai, Chingiz Aytmatov, and others. But in the 16th century, the Great Silk Road ceased to exist as a result of endless wars and raids, conquests that swept this region. And it became depopulated, numerous cities, schools, and cultural centers disappeared. The region turned into provincial backwater and became the object of the coveted appetites of the colonialists. Turkestan and Siberia were gradually captured by the Russian Empire. In 1876, Kyrgyzstan was finally annexed to the empire and turned into a colony of the Russian Empire. The occupied territories were turned into the Turkestan and steppe territories, which arose instead of the multinational states conquered and liquidated here. The Kazakh, Kokand, Khiva Khanates kingdoms, and the Emirate of Bukhara. The last two had the status of a protectorate and were finally destroyed during the years of Soviet power. In their place are now the republics of the Central Asian region, created according to the Leninist national plan. They are united by a common origin, culture, and religion, Sunni Islam. The languages of the Turkmens, Kazakh, Kyrgyz people, and Turkmens are very similar. They belong to the Turkic family, to the Turkic language group. And the Turkic countries, they talk about the need to create a common language in order to better understand each other. but the root words are similar for each language. But in the course of historical development, many foreign words got into their vocabulary. Mongolian, Korean, Japanese have many borrowings from Chinese. Turkic-speaking peoples from Arabic, they have borrowings from Arabic, Persian, European languages, including French, German, English, and Russian. If you talk about religious preferences here, then they go back to Tengrism, the cult of the sky. Despite the adoption of Islam, Tengrism occupies a large place in the religion of local peoples. And in Japan, Shintoism is the result of a mixture of Buddhism and Tengrism. Strong remnants of Tengrism among the Mongols and Koreans. Thus, we can say that the peoples of Central Asia have a lot in common: origin, history, religion, culture, and language. And this is a serious reason for the development of an integration processes between them inside the continent and outside. At present, the republican system has been established in the Central Asian countries. Democratic constitutions have been adopted. The ties between them and the outside world are expanding and strengthening. There was a single type of government, presidential. Other democratic political institutions are developing. But this process is not always simple and straightforward, because democracy is being built in a predominantly agrarian region, burdened with the traditional Soviet political legacy, with all the ensuing consequences. Almost 80 million people live in the Central Asian region right now. The GDP is about 0.5 billion US dollars. The region is rich in natural resources like oil, gas, minerals, iron ore, water resources. Agriculture is developed. There is heavy industry, transport facilities, roads. Education is developed in the Central Asian countries. There are dozens and hundreds of higher educational institutions, scientific centers represented by the Academy of Sciences, research institutes, and laboratories. Kyrgyzstan is a leader in the development of democracy. Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan are successfully developing industrial production. Cooperation between countries within the framework of the UN and other international organizations is growing stronger. Participating in the work of these international organizations, the countries of the region actively participate in the processes of rapprochement between peoples and cultures, and in the preservation and maintenance of peace throughout the world. So we wish success to this festival, where I had the honor to perform. And I believe that through the cultural heritage of Central Asia, we can together strengthen the world peace. Thank you for the attention. Just incredible. Thank you very much for such a great lecture and hard work. Thank you, Professor Kurmanov. Yes, I agree that historically, the Hyojeong culture also manifested itself through Tengrism. The strength of the nation is in unity and education. And let's once again thank Professor Kurmanov for a wonderful presentation. For now, let's all greet Bold and Jargala with his national Mongolian musical performance. The youth of Mongolia, go show them! It was an amazing performance. Let us once again thank our initiative creative young people from Ulaanbaatar. So many people took part in organizing our festival today. For example, Mongolia gave us such a wonderful performance. Thanks for your support. By the way, dear friends, you can too support our cultural festivals and many other initiatives from the Family Federation, which stands for moral values, for strengthening the institution of family and a healthy lifestyle. We will be grateful for any of your support. To support us financially, you can send your donations to the card number that you can see on your screen. And the next in our program will be an interview with an international and intercultural married couple who are, I'm sure, will share their example of achieving peace in the family. Wow, cool. This is so important because family culture is one of the most important pillars for creating a peace and harmony in society. And it's indeed the foundation of our Central Asian culture. And so a lovely family from Almaty City would like to share their experience. Let's give them a big round of applause. Dear friends, dear participants of this AJ festival, good afternoon. We are very welcoming you. I see lots of young people are with us today. We're glad to see. And we would like to share more about our family experience that always helps us to keep harmony and peace in our family. And at the beginning, I'd like to say a few words that every day the word peace gets more and more value. As you can know, very recently in January, Kazakhstan had some bloody events where people died. And in the neighboring country of Ukraine, there are war actions. And I'd like to emphasize, I'd like to say that what our movement is doing, what our founders created, what are they striving to peace through this festival and by other means, by other programs, it brings very big value to the world. So we would like to share today. And in the beginning, let's talk about our family. Let's introduce us. My name is Samad. This is Katya, my spouse. My nationality is Kazakh. My wife is half Belarusian, half Korean, and has some Ukrainian to it. Our family is very multinational family, I'd say. At least 5 nations that we have: Kazakh, Korean, Ukrainian, Belarusian, and our children, who are the mixture of all of this. They are already the 5th nation, and I hope that this new nation will be bringing peace to this world. And we got our blessing in 2009 in New York, and since that time, since 2014, we are living together. When we started our family, we have 3 beautiful children. And today I'd like to share the way we keep and sustain peace in our family. And also, I'd like to say words of gratitude to our founders of the movement, who showed us a great example of the family, the great example of harmonical relationship in the family. The first point here is to worship the Almighty, to respect elders, to respect our parents. In the morning, we try to start our day with bowing to the Almighty, with praying, with learning, reading some scriptures to better understand His vision for us, for our family, for the world. And we're trying to grow in our understanding with this. It's a very important practice that helps us to be in the right place, in the right state of mind. And we're also trying to show respect to our parents, to be interested in their lives, so they could feel our love through this. The next tradition that we have is that we are trying to take care of our health, of our physical bodies, and trying to learn this teach this to our children, doing exercises in the morning, walking in the morning. And the third tradition that we practice is love to each other, love inside the family. Our children are very young at the moment. Sometimes our communication goes well, sometimes our communication goes quite noisy and unorganized, but we keep trying, and we see that it gives results and it changes the lives of each us as an individual and the life of us as a whole family. And we see that such traditions can change the life of a particular family and a whole society. We are happy that we could share our stories, our principles. And with this, we also would like to send support to our brotherly people of Ukraine who are experiencing very struggling times. We wish for the peace inside of every one of us, inside of every house. Thank you for your attention. Many thanks to the Zenulin family for their inspiring story. Yes, let us give this wonderful family a round of applause. Ilzana, do you like singing? I just adore singing. This is what I love the most. You know, our ancestors were also very fond of singing, and it was one of the main ways of self-expression. And until now, the nations of Central Asia are very talented in a musical way. Then, without further ado, let us welcome our next guest, gorgeous singer, titled as an honored artist of Kazakhstan, Akaltin Bekbolatova. Wow, I had goosebumps. I have no words to describe the beauty. I believe that such sincerity in performance can touch heavens. This is a truly well-deserved applause. Let us thank Akaltin once again. So, the next family we would like to invite is a Hungarian-Mongolian family from Mongolia to share their story with us. Let us welcome the family of Zoltan and Zeki.
Mongolia. My name is Zoltan Zalaidi. I am from Hungary. And 20 years ago, when I graduated the faculty of Roa Lili, I feel a mission. I want to work for the world peace. And at that time I met the unification movement, and I realized the peace starts with me in my heart and my body unity. Later on I got married with Serendulam, who is Mongolian, and we have 2 children now, to also in this, through this marriage, to build the world peace. And, my daughter is 7 years old, her name is Sophia, and exactly today 9 months old. My son is Daniel, and from society way we are also working through the world peace, because I am PhD student and my dissertation is the religious freedom, and I have many articles about this topic, and also in this way proclaim the Universal Peace Federation, the ideas, the world peace and the religious freedom. And you can say the final words.
Okay, thank you. We had many nice, great holidays in February, and first time meeting after these long holidays, and therefore we would like to wish from our family side, from Mongolia, Happy New Year, Happy New Tiger Year, and we wish all of you peaceful, harmonious, nice, healthy, and full of unity and laughter in this new year. And we really pray also for the unity of the whole world and Korean Peninsula. Now also this war happening in the Russia and Ukraine. We really send our deepest prayer and greetings for all of you, brothers and sisters in Asia Pacific one. See you next time. Bye bye.
Они действительно показали, как мы
They really showed us how we should take care of our family members, and I think we should all learn from them. Let us give them another round of applause. And now it's one of the most exciting parts of today's event, which I'm sure all of you have been waiting for so long. Let us invite our President of Family Federation for World Peace of Asia Pacific Region 1, President Damon Dunkley, and Mrs. Yumika Dunkley with an inspiring message. I would like to remind everyone that President Dunkley and Mrs. Dunkley will be speaking in English, so for those who need a translation, please change the channel to Russian. Let's welcome President Damon Dunkley and Mrs. Yumika Dunkley.
Hello and welcome to this Hyojeong Peace Festival of Central Asia. It's an inspiration of our true parents, Father and Mother Moon, especially true Mother, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon, who has been teaching us the meaning of Hyojeong. You know, one way to think of Hyojeong is imagine that there is a creator, a heavenly parent who creates the entire universe, this entire world, and creates us, humanity, as the Creator's children, and gives us all these things to enjoy and create our own beautiful living environment. The question of Hyojeong then becomes, if you're given this gift of life, if you're given this gift of creation and the ability to discover all of its mysteries, what would you say in return? What would you offer in return to our Heavenly Parent and to heaven? So the purpose of these peace festivals is to celebrate that theme, and especially to take pride and joy in the beauty that exists in all of the various cultures of the world. And this time we're celebrating Central Asia. But with everything going on in the world right now, we can't ignore. We have to really reflect on the fact that we are entering in the final stage of humanity. We are already in the final stage of history. And a new history is being written. So what is the origin point of this new history? I think many might agree that we're entering into a new era. Surely we must be exiting an old era. So what is the origin point of the new era? What is the origin point of this new history? We must understand it, and we must have the confidence to declare it. But what is it that we should declare? What is it that we stand for? That is the question. Whatever it is that we stand for, it must have absolute value for all of humanity. It cannot be based on something that only benefits some people. Our value needs to be universal. You know, the theme of this Peace Festival is creating peace through the cultural legacy of Central Asia. Now, Central Asia has a rich and multicultural history, right? Sharing ideas and building relationships that have supported one another throughout that history. It is a people that have great respect for their elders and follow their wisdom of the elders. There's a great sense of hospitality and willingness to sacrifice in Central Asia. There are certain traditions that stand the test of time because they are universal, somehow linked to an ancient wisdom. However, when we look at the world today, we can see that we do not yet have a complete picture of a peaceful humanity. Why? Because we fight over who has the right idea, the right values. So who should we follow? But the thing is, universal values cannot be designed by mankind. They are designed by our Creator. Common currency or common political systems can bring about relative peace, but if we want everlasting results, then we need to unite upon everlasting values. It is not enough also just to have a common enemy. It is not enough to have a common political view because opinions can change according to selfish benefit. Instead, we must realize that first, we have a common parent, which is our Creator. And our parent has a certain idea, a certain will, and a blessing for us to discover. If we are ignorant about our Creator, then we are ignorant about ourselves. If we are ignorant about our own true value and purpose, then how can we know and respect the value of others? If we don't understand why we exist, then how can we possibly know what to do with our existence? I'd like to read a few quotes that were recently given by our True Mother, just a few weeks ago. True Mother said, "Until now, people were ignorant of the fact that all of us, all nations, are connected to heaven by heavenly law, and as a result, this beautiful earth has become derelict." Until now, people were ignorant of the fact that all of us and all nations are connected to heaven by a heavenly law. And as a result of that ignorance, this beautiful earth has become derelict. Here's another one. As children who have been unfilial until now, that means children of heaven who have ignored heaven's will, who have ignored essentially heaven's blessing. Until now, it is our duty to make our heavenly parents' dream come true on earth. Again, this theme that there is a heaven and there is a parent of heaven, there is a will of heaven, there is a dream that our heavenly parent has. If we ignore our heavenly parent, and if we ignore the dream that our heavenly parent blessed us with, we ignore the very purpose for our existence, then how can we possibly be happy? This idea of Hyojeong means that we should be people who make our heavenly parents' dream come true. There's nothing more honorable or joyous than that. Mother continues, it is our duty to make our heavenly dream come true on earth. If so, should we just then sit back and watch? Should we just sit back and watch to see what we make of the world with our stupidity, with our ignorance, with our selfish pride? All of us, Mother says, all of us, all people of the world, need to become one and fulfill our responsibility, which is to return this world to its original state. That is what we, the people living in this world today, are required to do. Stand up, people. This is what our heavenly parent and our true parents are calling us to do. You wish to argue it? Do you disbelieve it? Do you think these are the words of someone who has an ulterior motive? Or do you think that just maybe these are the words that are tapping into the most ancient wisdom of all? That we, humanity, are a people created by heaven, by our heavenly parent, for a heavenly purpose. And it is not the general purpose that you see being lived today. Mother says, we need to become children that attend heavenly parent through true parents. For we are connected to the heavenly parent by heavenly law. Brothers and sisters, and all peace lovers, peacemakers who are participating in this Hyojeong Peace Festival. Really, I want to thank you for participating in this. Whether you're watching right now live or whether you're watching a recording, please listen to these words that Mother shares. Father and Mother Moon have been bringing people together for decades to proclaim this new era, this new history, and I believe them. I believe them. Look at it. The war upon Ukraine is teaching us many things. I see many people asking deep questions, deeper questions. But it should not take a war to remind us of our deeper common sense. It should not take a war anymore to remind us to reflect on what is heaven, is there heaven, and what is the will of heaven. And look what men do. How we strut around to show how powerful we are, how smart we are. These two are our brothers and sisters, God's children. They were created by God, they were lives given by God, and it is no man or no woman's choice or freedom to take those lives that were created by God. And ultimately, there can be no winning that we find there. There's no winning to be found there. For even if we save one brother, but lose the other brother, we still destroy our family. Even though it must be done, even though we must protect ourselves, when the righteous men and women stand up to defend their sovereignty, in order to do that, they must shoot other young men to protect themselves. So what is the result? we spill the blood of our worldwide family. And those lives can never be recovered. Whether Ukrainian lives or Russian lives, whether black lives or white lives, whether Western lives or Eastern lives, whether they are people who have a certain political view versus other people who have a different political view, it is our worldwide family that is spilling its blood into this earth that was given us to experience joy and peace together. So what happens? Our mothers are eternally crying for their sons and daughters who are lost. And our children lose their childhoods. And the negative impact of these actions are not just part of a 24-hour news cycle. They are not just the next thing that is happening. They have negative ramifications for generations to come. That is why we are living in the type of world we are living in today. And it is not just in Eastern Europe. There is conflict and abuse going on in every corner of the world. Simply put, humanity has gotten as far as it can. We cannot advance any further towards a peaceful world or a peaceful humanity if we ignore the creator of this world and the parent of humanity. I believe that the people of Central Asia can be proud of the ancient wisdom that was learned throughout their great history. But you must also now reflect and realize that a new history is being written. It is the same for us all. In order to realize everlasting peace, we must now surrender. We must surrender our beliefs, our attitudes, our strongly held concepts. We must surrender them upon the altar of true everlasting values. If we want everlasting peace, then surely we must be guided by everlasting values, not temporary values or man-made values that only benefit a certain people of a certain race or a certain period. But we must base our values on eternal values that we did not create, but were created by the same creator that created us. Values that were designed by heaven. This is the origin point of the new human history. It is scary and exciting at the same time, dear peace lovers. But like True Mother said, this is the point. We need to become children that attend Heavenly Parent through true parents, for we are connected that way. We are connected that way, not by our own ideas, but by heavenly ideas. Not by our own values, but by heavenly values. Not by our own laws, no matter how great they may seem to be. We are connected by heavenly law to our heavenly parent. So, if you believe it, then declare it. Let us have the confidence to declare this truth at this time in human history. For if not you, then who? And if not now, then when, dear peace lovers? If you truly are a person that seeks for peace for all of humanity, then we must stand up, not only for those who are being tortured now, but we must stand up first for our heavenly parent who has been tortured throughout human history, watching us make a mockery of this beautiful creation that we've been given. Brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, sons and daughters, all of you, let us have the confidence to declare the truth. For if not you, then who? And if not now, then when? May heaven's blessings be upon you, your families, and upon all the brothers and sisters in the world who are suffering. And let heaven also guide the minds of those who make great mistakes today. Let us clean up the internal mind of humanity, center our heart on heaven, declare the truth that a new history is being written, and it must be a history of peace. God bless you.
Большое спасибо президенту Данкли и госпоже Юнико за ваш...
Thanks, big words of gratitude to President Dunkley. And we also would like to invite all of you again to leave your feedback, your comments in the chat. Share your joy with us. And for this event, we also invited the young people of Kyrgyzstan to join. So let's greet our participants from the capital of Kyrgyzstan, the city of Bishkek, from the country of the Heavenly Mountains. Let's enjoy all together.
Ay, atlı bastırmasın mı?
Thank you for this great performance. Be reminded that you can support us and, most importantly, subscribe to our Instagram account. You can find the description. You can, in this account, in our Instagram page, you will find interesting programs for internalization, volunteering, and humanitarian projects, and group hikes to the nature. And we're also announcing a cash prize for those who will subscribe to our Instagram page and tag us in your stories. And now it's a time for a group picture, so please everybody turn on your cameras. And another picture, and another cheese, and another hearts. Yes. And in conclusion, we would like to wish all of you good health, happiness in the coming new year. After all, it's now is coming, March 22. It is the Central Asian New Year, so the third New Year celebration. And this concludes our Hyojeong Peace Festival. Thank you very much for coming. See you next time.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Yeah, thank you for your devotions, your looking together. It's a festival. Anyway, we recognize each other. We are all children of having parents. Lastly, I sincerely ask you.